Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to be back with you again on this summer day in the middle of August. Many of you have been asking, Dr. Fialkoff, how do I get the previous segments? So let me tell you before we start, it's very simple. You go on YouTube, A Time for Truth show, and you find the subscribe button, click on it. You'll become one of our members and you'll be availed and able to get all the previous episodes. We look forward to having you as a viewer. Our world, in the last few years has been beset by a lot of changes. A lot of negative changes. And it's left us wondering, it's left us stressed as individuals, as families, as communities. And really it cuts across all boundaries, all origins, religions, races. And tonight's show, we have someone who's exemplary because he lived a real life and he's lived a real life. And I'm going to let him tell you his story rather than give it away, but it's a very important story that we're all facing in today's world. And Buddha, if you will, if you put the screen on for us, and we will introduce Samuel Mook Mormon of Chicago, Illinois, a team leader of the organization Violence Prevention Intervention Services. And there you see a story by one of his friends on some unfortunate circumstances in his life, the point of no return. And Mook wanted me to show it to you, so there you go, in honor of his friend. And he's also director of community outreach for the National Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. Mook has dedicated his life to aiding youth to thrive in a safer environment than what he encountered as a youngster, so they can be empowered to fulfill their real potential and become future leaders. He promotes vocational and employment endeavor and combines that with academic pursuits to help guide Chicago youth towards positivity and away from the stresses and negativity of inner city life. Born in Chicago, Mook knows firsthand the plight of an inner city youth as he encountered in his own life, and I will let him relay to you in his own words. He unfortunately started out with violence and anger in his heart and became a gang member at a very early age. His involvement led to his being shot and nearly losing his life. And his story, a very difficult story and one that is hard to tell, I'm sure is a very important story to hear. There you see him on the screen as a mentor. And he has a very important story. There he is again. Buddha, please bring him up live on the screen, and we want to bid a warm welcome to Samuel Mook Mormon to a Time for Truth show. Welcome, Mr. Mormon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
You-
I wanted to ask you, what was it like in your early life in Chicago?
Well, I was raised by my grandparents because my mother and father, they uh they was in the streets, they was in the streets in the, going to prison, doing drugs, stuff like that, you know. So I did a lot of traveling by myself. I got an older brother, he's 8 years older than me, so that's some of the stuff that so one of the people I closely follow. We often joke about me being his first son, you know. So
I can see that.
and, because
What did you feel like back then? I mean, what was it like to not really have parents around you?
well, after a while I got used to it. It's like my grandparents. I refer to them as mother and father, mom and daddy. I call my grandmother. I called her. She passed away. Um, she passed away the same year. Well, in 2015, she passed away. But I always refer to her as mama.
Makes total sense. And you know what? With that experience and the way you were raised, I guess it's almost a question I don't know if I even have to bother to ask, but let me ask it to you. So here you were, you're getting raised by your grandparents and your older brother, and I guess the way things are going. So is the reason you got into gang life because you were looking for a group or for some companionship or brotherhood? Why was it that you got into a gang? Well, it looks like his feed has been cut off, and we'll get him back soon. I'm sure he'll rectify that. But basically, one of the things that we can see when we're looking at what's been going on in our country with violence. Are you back, Mook?
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, you cut out for a moment there. And I was just going to tell our viewers that in our country, we've been looking for solutions for this violence and killing that we've been seeing. But let's continue with your story because that's going to help a lot. So,
Okay.
why did you get into the gang at an early point in your life?
And like you say, them your brothers. They become your brothers. You seeing them every day. Y'all together every day. Y'all experiencing everything. Y'all actually raising each other in a sense. When you leave out the home, that's who you link up with. So we raising each other. We teaching, we learning. A couple guys a few years older than us. Some our age. You know. So it become a brotherhood.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, within that gang, how did you decide what you were going to do, what not to do? I mean, we just see things like in the movies, right? But what was
Yeah.
a real gang in Chicago? What are they like?
All right. See, this is a little bit different. We got rules and regulations. We have what we call literature, and that's what we live by. Those are our laws and policies, our codes. That's what we live by. And so it's a little bit different than everybody else. Way more organized. It's way more organized. It's a whole different culture. We it's different ways. It's not really just based on getting money. It's not based on violence. It's not based on any of that. And at a point, it even changed to where it was about none of that. That wasn't even nothing you was even required to do. It changed into being required to get an education. All of it changed. All of the literature changed.
Very
You
interesting.
know,
I thought that because you know what? I think basically all human beings are trying to survive and they want to have someone to communicate with. And, you know, it makes a lot of sense to me that, you know, if all you guys had a similar origin background, that you'd want to have some strong policy or family policy, right? Almost like a gang policy. It's almost like a family policy. Is that pretty much true, or?
Now that's real close. Are you sure you ain't been a part of it? You
Well,
know, because that's
you know what's interesting, Mook, is that I think one of the reasons we have trouble in the world is we start thinking that human beings aren't basically similar, and we look at differences and not at the majority of the similarities that we have in common. You know, so you know, you make me laugh, but yeah, I guess you know what, we're all looking for certain things, but so tell me, so how is it that it changed from violence to now the gang is looking for education? What happened with that?
well, a lot of it came from the leadership, and they was like, man, this ain't. We need to do something else. And we're seeing a lot of the brothers uh, become victims of recidivism, being raised by the system. They got the school to prison pipeline, and a lot of brothers get inside those. They get inside those cages, and they're forced to get inside their own heads and get in their thoughts, and they start educating themselves and reading things and getting the understanding of what's going on, and they start sending the messages back to the streets like, wait a minute, man, we doing this all wrong. You be needing money, and the quickest way to get some money is to go to the corner. Is in your mind. That's the first thing you see is the corner because it's visual. You don't really see the inner workings of a store, how it operates, but you can see how the corner store. You can see what's going on in front of the corner store operate. So you like, oh, this is the quickest way to go. The money's right there. Most if you find a job that may pay you once a week, okay, cool. But most jobs may pay you bi-weekly, but like if you find one that weekly, what about that everyday pay? It's not gonna trump that everyday pay. And when you're sitting on that corner, when you're sitting out there and you looking, you say this everyday money. You see it, but you're not thinking, man, hey, I only made $100 a day. Not thinking that a job pay you $100 a day. You just don't get it that day.
Very, very, very interesting, because what happens is out of necessity and not having the reality or the knowledge, you make a wrong path, wrong choice, and then that's the end of your life, basically there. It keeps going down, you're saying.
Yeah, that's how it worked. You know what I'm saying? We got different fans. Uh the police, like when you're in the street, the police they can make 100 mistakes. You only get one.
Very interesting. Now, you went through this life, and then what happened at some point, you actually were shot yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I got shot. I got shot in my head. It's still in here. It's still right here. The bullet right here. Some got shot right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So thank God. I've been hard headed. I guess as a child, and it paid off. You know. So the bullet it hit a bone in my head, in your head, the hardest bone. I think it's called the mastoid or whatever. It's a bone back here, and it hit that and it broke it. So instead of going into my brain, around my brain, it broke the bullet. Like I wasn't I didn't have the right phone. I wanted to send you a picture of it. I got all my scans, so you can see the fragments. You can see where they still at in my head.
Interesting. And how long were you in the hospital?
Months, and
Wow.
I'll be seeing doctors for the rest of my life.
Wow. Now, here you are in the hospital, and what kind of thoughts were going through your mind initially?
Initially it was kill everything I thought did it. That's the first thought. The initial thought is when I get up out of here, somebody else going in here, or if not to the morgue.
And what happened as time went on? Tell me. Okay, looks like for some reason his connection cut out again. So I'll continue because he and I were, here we go, we got you back.
Okay, so
So what I was going to say to you to get you back on track, so here you're in the hospital, you had those original thoughts. Now what happened over time? How did your thought process change over time?
it was a mixture of things. I was watching stuff on TV, and sometimes commercials were coming on, and and then seeing my sons and my seeing my children, seeing my nieces and nephews, and things of that nature, and them coming in there talking to me while I was in the hospital and stuff like that, and I was just like, I don't know, it just started changing. I just started feeling different, you know. You get start hearing stuff, hearing them tell you they love you, all that's just different stuff. Uh, how you hear, just hearing stuff like that, even not sometimes not even just my children, but it was like my nieces and nephews. I didn't know they looked at me like that, you know. So I was like, man, if I could do that, maybe I could influence them to do something different too. I always encourage them to do things, but it just was different, you know. It was just different being in that position I was in, laying there and hearing them talk, and then all the people that came. Because when I first got shot, okay, the first thing I didn't even know I got shot. I thought I got hit with something. I thought he just hit me with something. I didn't think he shot because it's kind of like they say, it's quick, it's, it's lightning fast, you know. So I just thought he hit me with something. I knew I couldn't. I knew I couldn't move when I was on the ground. I couldn't move. I couldn't move my legs. So I ain't know what, you know. So then when my wife actually pulled up and I was laying there. I heard her scream, and then she called the ambulance. By some stroke of whatever it was, the ambulance was around the corner. They picked me up, they picked me up, put me on the gurney. They rolled me in there. They like, man, you know what happened? I'm like, man, I don't, man. They hit me with something. I was conscious the whole time. I never went unconscious. Just quick, bang. I never went unconscious though. So when they was rolling me over, they was looking. And they was like, you know what happened to you? I'm like, nah, I think he hit me with something, man. Like, nah, man, they shot you. And I was just like, okay, I don't know what that. Okay, I'm shot. Okay, you know. Um, Once they told me that, I had remembered something that I saw on TV a long time ago. It was that they say don't panic because it make your blood run. It make your blood rush. So I just laid there like, okay, take me to the hospital. They took me to the hospital. I hadn't had any surgeries at that point, none. It was like they just it ripped a piece of my ear off. They sewed that up. Um, they did some other stuff, and then I started not remembering anything. I don't know what was going on after that. Stuff started happening. People told me a bunch of stuff. Like I guess I became sort of, I guess, delirious. I don't know, but they said I was just talking. They don't know what I was talking about, and I don't know what I was talking about. It was like all that. It was just happening, and then I know I couldn't see. I couldn't see really. You had to get like really close to my face, like almost touching my nose for me to see you. So I know when the doctor came in there one time, I just asked him. I said, "Man, once I kind of got a couple of days and got conscious, and again like all the way conscious, because after they gave me something that put me to sleep, but then I get up. I get up after that. Because when I woke and I know that I can't really see that good. So I was, I had a blind spot and everything, and I was asking them like, "Is that gonna come back or is it gone?" And they was like, "We don't know." So then I became curious. I started asking a lot of questions because I don't know what's going on. I know my leg. I know I ain't feeling right. My legs ain't right. I don't, like. So they, a couple people touch me. I'm like, I was in the hospital. I'm like, touch me, So I wanted to see if I could feel because I know I really couldn't control it. It's like it knocked my motor skills off. So I couldn't control it really, but I could feel. So I don't know what it did. It did something. It did something to my motor skills.
I
After
see.
that,
And so let me ask you a question. So then you go through all of this, and you start to say something about that your viewpoint started changing. You weren't looking to get revenge anymore. Why did that happen? What happened? Tell me.
Listening to people talk, uh, thinking about a couple people told me like, man, you didn't gave out some. So, which I actually, I mean, it's just realities. I did. So they was like, man, you gotta be accepted. You gotta be able to take yours too. You know, so I was like, yeah, you're right. I started listening to it. I started watching commercials. It just seemed like everything that was leaning leaning me towards not doing nothing. I guess 'cause that was the stuff I was paying attention to. And I was like, man, you know what? Forget it, man. I'm gonna leave it alone. And, I was conflicted at the time though. I was thinking, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone. When I finally was able to, because I had to get my motor skills, like I said again, I had to go through some little walks, some therapies. When I first got out, I had triggers that I didn't know nothing about. I didn't know nothing about triggers at that time. So I had trick stuff that would trigger me. And next thing you know, I'm like, I'm finna do something about this. And I was going back and forth. Well, one day I was in my neighborhood and I was in a bar. And one of my little homies, he came to me, said, hey Mook, come with me. And I'm like, I didn't know what he wanted. So a little spot was across the street from where one of the taverns we be in. So he take me across the street. And I talked to these guys. They like, hey man, they told me you got a little bit of influence around here. I'm like, I'm kind of reluctant to answer the question because I'm like, huh, what that mean? Who are they? I don't know these people. So they like, man, we got this program called the Flip Program, man. Well, where we take some guys who got some influence and we put them on the blocks, the hottest blocks in the neighborhood, in their own neighborhood, and try to get them to get the guys to cease fire, to try to turn them around, try to keep down, mediate the conflicts and keep people down. I mean, keep people from going and retaliating and shooting at each other and all this stuff.
Interesting. It got cut out a little bit again, but interesting how what he's relaying here, that he's in gang life, he gets shot, and now all of a sudden he's going to have an opportunity to help people from his experience. So Mook, continue. So now here you are with this Flip program and you're helping other people not to have violence. Continue, please.
Now look, I'm up on this block. It's a real hot block. But I'm up there. So I'm up there and I'm doing my job. They grab a couple other guys. What happened was they told me to grab some other guys. So I get a couple more guys. So we go up on the block and we hanging on the block that we normally hang on anyway. So as I'm on the block, you see, at first the police, they didn't know it was new. We was the first one to do it. It was new. So they wasn't wondering what we was doing. I'm like, so we had to try to tell them. At first they wasn't with it. They was like, this don't sound right. Some of them, they know you. So they like, nah. But they get to finding out it's truth. So then the more we hanging out there, we like doing little barbecues and stuff on the block. Just out there working, letting all the neighbors know what we doing. And they like, okay. We get there. So then next thing you know, it's kids and stuff coming outside riding their bikes and stuff. It just make you start feeling different because you remember when you did it. But you don't normally see this no more. Like kids don't play hide and go seek. They probably don't even know what that is. About riding their bikes up and down the blocks, they scared of bullets. So they don't do that. So they started doing it. Neighbors start coming out there and everybody come past. Every time we out there, they blowing the horn. They come past, they see us, bump on. Next thing you know, man, good work. Keep up the good work, man. They getting the wind of what the program is and what we doing. And they know it's real. So the more I'm getting that, it's feeding me. It's just making me want to. It's feeding me. It's that pat on the back. It's the same pat on the back as when you doing the other stuff. So I started liking it. So I started liking it a lot. So the program coming to an end. This how God worked. A guy told another guy at another agency about me, but he thought I was somebody else. So what the guy that hired me did, he asked me, how do I feel about speaking? And I was like, in front of people, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm cool with that. So he take me to this thing called a Southside Coronation meeting. Now in there is higher ups. I'm not knowing who these people are at the time, but these are the people who putting together all these violence intervention prevention services. These agencies, they the ones all doing it. It's police in there. You know, it's some people from the mayor's office, all types of people in there. So they get to me and ask me how I feel about the program. And I tell them, I tell them how I feel about the program. I tell them everything I told you. Like, man, this program gave me life, man. Gave me a second chance. It gave me a chance to do something different, to make an honest buck, another kind of way, to make an honest buck. And that's something I already been doing. Just wasn't getting paid for it.
Very interesting. And so his internet cut out a little bit again, but here, you're back, okay? So then basically that's how you start out to the violence intervention and prevention services, huh?
That's exactly how it happened.
Wow.
If I would have never went to that meeting, I probably would have never been doing it, because he thought I was somebody else, and he didn't think that guy fit the big criteria.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, you know what, Mook? We're running to the end of the show, but your story is really so important. And, we have about 30 seconds left. What concluding statement do you want to give the people out there about what you think they need to do from this point forward? Go ahead.
Man, go find yourself. Find what you're good at, man. God gave everybody a gift, and don't look at nobody else's gift. Look at whatever yours is. He'll keep putting it in your face. He'll send people to tell you. That universe gonna tell you, hey man, you should try this. You should do this, and you're gonna keep hearing it from different people. They're not conspiring. They don't know you. They don't even know each other. They just them the signs, them the symbols, them are the messages. And you got to heed the message. And a lot of people told me to keep doing this. And it took me to New York to meet you. So I know it was right. And with all of y'all that's out there doing that, that's listening, when somebody tell you something that you're good at, and they see it in you, and people keep telling you, do it. I don't care if it's knitting, it could be sewing, it could be dance, whatever it is, go do it. They're not telling you that for no reason. They can see it on you.
Beautiful. Well, you know what? That's a beautiful message. It's an important message. It's so true. To listen to the inner voice inside of you with what you always wanted to do. And one thing I wanted to say, Mook, that we could do, because I run a drug education program, we were talking about this. We can see how, with what you're doing already, we can make you a representative out there in Chicago, and you can bring this drug education within the intervention and prevention, violence prevention services that you're doing, your community outreach, and make you an ambassador for drug education. What do you think?
I love to do that. When we spoke about that, I told you, man,
good.
My father OD'd and my mother died from AIDS. Strictly came from drug use.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. You said a lot of things today that make a lot of sense, and how life has brought us together. I'm glad you took this trip to New York, where we met at this Pro Rucker Legends event to honor athletes, basketball players. Actually, we'll mention Robert Hunter, who's a Globetrotter, who's always uniting people. We want to thank Globetrotter Robert Hunter for uniting us for this show. And we hope all of you watching can take heed to what Samuel Mook Mormon has said. Take a look inside yourself and be true to your own goals. Be your own counselor. Help the world. Thank you, Mook. And thank you all for watching A Time for Truth show. Let's make this place a better world to be. And let's follow Mook's example. Good night.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet